All right, the big game of the week. Here we go. We've got Georgia coming to Austin to play the Longhorns. Who we got?
Man,
Also, I'm going to tell y'all right now, Reek has Georgia.
I don't even need to think about this right now, man. I'm going with the Georgia Bulldogs in this one. I still think that this is after losing to Alabama. I think they still are the best team. Quinn Ewers is going to be facing his toughest defensive task this season, man. Georgia is not Michigan. Georgia is not Oklahoma. Obviously, this team could run the ball. This team is throwing the ball on a high rate right now. Carson Beck nearly had 500 yards passing against Mississippi State. And this game is going to answer a lot of things. It's going to answer who is the kings of the SEC. I know LSU is climbing up there. I honestly feel like LSU right now is the third best team in the SEC right now. But when it comes to these two giants right now, this is what everybody's talking about. We're going to see what Carson Beck is capable of. He's going to get another crack at one of the best teams in the country, the Texas Longhorns. We're going to see how comfortable Quinn Ewers is because he's going to go against this Texas this Texas no this Georgia defense. And they definitely got to play better than what they did against last week against Oklahoma. I just like Georgia's team better overall, especially in these big games like this. And Georgia just can't afford to lose another big game like this. And I think Georgia will be ready. And I think it's just a lot of pressure on Texas because if Texas loses this game, the quarterback talk is going to be brought up again. If Texas loses this game, it's going to get brought up again because they were talking about it this past weekend. You think they're not going to talk about it now? It's going to be talked about again. And the game is in Austin, Texas. So no pressure, Texas. Oh, yeah, it's a lot of pressure on Texas this weekend. So I got Georgia in this game, though.
Okay. I'm with Q on this one. I said I think Georgia's the best team in the country. At the end of the day, Texas, I gave them their flowers. They played great, but they played two teams that, when we give them their credit, two teams that can't throw the ball. Georgia can throw the ball. They can do things that other teams that they play can't do. And Kirby Smart doesn't lose to anybody outside Alabama. That the proof is in the pudding. Kirby Smart wins all those games, and then when you think about where Clemson is today, that team dominated Clemson. You can sit there and say it was the second half, whatever you want to say. Clemson, I even told Q on the show, Clemson should be ranked above LSU in the top 10, in my opinion, because what Clemson's been doing. And Georgia made them look like they couldn't move the ball at all. I honestly believe that Georgia's going to win this game in Texas, and they're going to prove that they're the best team in the country. And they may not move to number one because you got a team like Oregon that's undefeated, teams like Penn State. But I keep saying, if you put them on a neutral field against anybody, I'm taking the Georgia Bulldogs to win that game. I may be wrong, but I think they'll beat Alabama if they play them again. I just think Georgia's the best team in the country. I think Texas hasn't seen a team like Georgia, whereas Georgia has played against Clemson, has played against Alabama, and they've been in close games. Texas has been blowing everybody out. So now we're about to see about Texas.
Georgia.
Oh!
Georgia.
I'll let Jamie Foxx talk to y'all, man.
I thought for sure you was taking Texas because you've been disrespecting Georgia.
Nah, man. I'm taking Georgia because I think Texas receives this welcome to the SEC moment on this game. All right. You had a point. Only people that beat Georgia is Alabama. That's the only people that beat Kirby Smart, man. So, and I will say this: Carson Beck has looked much better throwing the ball in these last few weeks to me, and they can throw the ball now. They can throw the ball now. It's in Texas. That's the only thing that gives me a little pause.
That is the one thing.
That's the one thing to give me a little pause. I think I picked Georgia being the best team in college football this year for a reason. And I think that this is what they needed to get themselves back on track. They lost to Alabama, who promptly lost to Vanderbilt, which is crazy. But I think that was a fluke. I do think Alabama beat them fair and square, and it was a real win. But I think that actually woke Georgia up. I think they woke Georgia up, and now they're playing like Georgia was supposed to be playing from the get-go. So I think that put them on a neutral field against Texas. I think that they beat the brakes off Texas. I think this will be a good game because it's in Texas. But I do have Georgia pulling it out. That defense is crazy. I didn't see anything that Texas did that would make me think that they were just head and shoulders above Georgia to be able to beat them. So, nah, man. I do like what Keo said. Couple of interceptions, they're gonna be calling for that Manning kid to get in there, bro.
Wow.
Couple of interceptions, they'll be calling for the Manning kid to get in there, bro. And I think he's gonna throw a couple of them. I think Ewers is gonna be throwing a couple of interceptions to the Bulldogs, and they'll be calling for the Manning kid to get in there. I don't think they're gonna put him in, but they'll be looking at it again. They'll be looking at him again.
And Yvonne, real quick before you go, before the season started, I said I didn't think nobody was gonna go undefeated. And if Texas was gonna lose, it has to be this game to me.
Okay, I think y'all are completely missing it, and I'm a little shocked.
Bias? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I really think I just can't believe that y'all are not seeing what I'm seeing out of Georgia. Georgia's not that good. They're not scrubs. They're not average. They're okay. They're solid. I don't think they're the Georgia that y'all think they are this year. I really don't. They keep struggling in these games, and I don't think it's a coincidence. I really don't think that they're that team. Every time I've watched Georgia this year, I'm like, all right, they look all right. They don't look like the Georgia of old. I think the difference in this game will be two things. Texas has the best offensive line in the country. So that's the thing that's worked for Georgia really well. They get to other teams' quarterbacks. They will struggle to get to Quinn Ewers this weekend. I really believe that. Number two, I don't like Georgia's offense, and I think Carson Beck's actually going to struggle against our defense. Remember the name, Anthony Hill, linebacker, monster. Last year came out, he was a freshman. He stuck out in that Alabama game when we beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Remember Anthony Hill, stud. He's going to be all over the field. I don't think it's a good matchup for Georgia. I really don't. Our offensive line is the best in the country. They will struggle to get to the Quinn Ewers, and I'm not sold on their offense. I really do not. And Keo, I totally disagree. The pressure here is on Georgia. If Georgia loses, they're at 2 losses. If they slip up against Ole Miss, they're not making the playoffs. Or if they can slip against anybody. I mean, they almost lost to Kentucky. If Texas loses, Texas at 1 loss, they'll still be probably ranked top 5. So Texas is fine with an L here. I really think you are missing it. Watch. The Texas offensive line is going to dominate this.
Let me ask you a question. You saying about Texas' defense. What quarterback have they faced that can sling the ball around like Carson Beck?
I think Carson Beck's a little overrated in my opinion.
Okay, but the last 2 times I've seen them play against a quarterback that can throw the football legitimately is Michael Penix last year. Y'all lost some people, I know that.
Sure.
And he torched y'all. And Dylan Gabriel had a good game against y'all last year too for Oklahoma. So I'm just saying, based on what I've seen from Texas. Now, granted, I'm not here to tell you Texas is not a good team. I just think that you're downplaying Georgia. Cade Klubnik looks like a Heisman contender now. But in that game against Georgia, he didn't look nowhere near that.
I agree with that.
He looked terrible against Georgia.
I agree with that. However, since you're going off of last year, Milroe struggled against us. He looked like a damn stud against
but that's what I'm about to say. I think that with Milroe, he's a scrambling quarterback. Quinn Ewers is not that. And I think that some teams just struggle with that. And like I said, Georgia just struggles with Alabama. For whatever reason, they're throwing in their side.
Well, I think also another reason Cade Klubnik really struggled against Georgia is because Clemson's offensive line couldn't handle that defense line. I think Texas's offensive line is the best in the country. I really think that's going to help us here. I'm going Texas 27-21. I think Georgia's defense will keep them in it, but I don't think their offense will do enough. I got Texas.
Okay. Hey, I'm not mad at it. I'm glad you picked this. I can kind of.
And if Texas wins, oh, y'all better get ready for next week. Because all y'all, including Reek, picked against them. I mean, all of y'all. I mean, I'm a little shocked because he was talking about his eyes. That's what I've been seeing. Like, not just I'm a Texas fan, but Texas has truly looked impressive. And every time I watch Georgia there, they look okay. I don't think they've looked great. I really don't.
I got a name for you. Nazir Stackhouse. You're bragging about the Texas offensive line. That's the nose guard for Georgia. Okay. He's a dog.
All right, let's see.
I got him in Ewer's face all night.
And be careful where Malachi Starks is going to be at the entire game also.
He was a scrub against Alabama.
He wasn't a scrub.
Yeah, he was. That white
trick plays.
They got that white safety next to Malachi Starks.
He played well too.
He played way better than Starks. I was like, okay, what am I watching?
Two trick plays that Alabama tried to run. Who stopped those two trick plays? That was wide open if it wasn't for Malachi Starks. And the tip ball that Williams caught, Malachi Starks tipped the ball. He just caught the ball. Like Malachi Starks play. He made a play.
All right, man. Let's go to the NFL now. Texas, Georgia goes down this Saturday.
Let's go.
Oh, baby.